Okay, so for all the values of x, we've got a function which is our f of x is equal to x squared plus 1, our function g, so our g of x is equal to x minus 8. So these are just posh functions, and this is the notation they use for it. So function 1 and function 2. Show that f of g of x is equal to x squared minus 10x plus 26. So the way I do these, I think about what do I know about the function. So the function that I'm starting with here is our g of x. So you want to focus on your g of x first. So what is your g of x? Your g of x is x minus 1. And you want to substitute that function into the second function, which is our f. So fg of x is you focus on your g of x function and you substitute into your f function. So if your g of x, this becomes your x value, this needs to get subbed into this where your function value you're now using, instead of putting x into your function, you're putting the g function into it. So x minus 5 becomes your substituted x term. So if that's the case, we would have into our f of g of x, we'd have x squared, but our x is x minus 5, so x minus 5 squared plus 1. Now these are quite complex to go into on a video as such, but obviously if you want to make sure you do this in lesson and ask any questions if you're unsure with it. So it is understanding how the notation works, whether you go in this function into that function or that subbing that function into that one. So like I say, make sure you know the difference. Now it's just a simple case of tidying this up. So expand that, and that's going to give us x minus 5. Again, if you can do this, I know some of you can, that's fine, but I like to show it for everyone. So x times x, x squared, minus 5 times x, minus 5x for both, and then minus 5 times minus 5 is plus 25. So when we do that, we get x squared, we've got our minus 10x there, and we've got a plus 25. So that's that bit expanded, and then we've still got that bit there, plus 1 to bring back down. It was a show that question, so they were asking us to show that it equals that, and now just by simplifying the final line, x squared minus 10x plus 26 for those two combined. And that's it for part A. Part B then, it's a solve question. And you're asked to solve f of g of x is equal to g of f of x. Now we've done some hard work already. If you think about it, we've just done up there, this part, this is f of g of x. So we've already done the f of g of x, which is this side here. So when we've just done show that, we know that f of g of x is better known as x squared minus 10x plus 26. So that bit's already done. We now need to the g of f of x. So when we do the g of f of x, we are taking the function x and subbing that one into the g function. So we need to sub that value into there. So if our x is now x squared plus 1, we're going to sub that x value into there. So we'll have that x squared plus 1, which is our new x value, minus 5. So this will be x squared plus 1, so that's the x in the g of x. Let me just quickly write that g of x is x minus 5. So all we're doing, this is now our x, that was the x term, we now need to minus 5 from it. And these two are supposed to be equal to each other. So x squared minus 10x plus 26 is equal to x squared, and then a 1 minus 5 is a minus 4. So, like I say, sorry, I forgot to say, these are dropped from A level, so if you're thinking this is really complex, they are the old AS level work. So we're at a solve situation, so as always we'd normally balance. So we've got x squared on both sides, so we'd normally start by taking off x squared, taking off x squared. That'll leave me just the minus 4 on this side, and I've got a minus 10x and a plus 26. I've got minus 10x. I can deal with that, but I do prefer it when it's negative. So I'm going to add it to both sides, add it to both sides. So I've got 26 is equal to 10x minus 4. So now my 10's positive. I'm going to add the 4 to both sides, and that'll give me 30 on that side and leave me with 10x on that side. So if 10x is 30, divide by 10, or just think it logically, our x is 3. So it is a lot of work, and I can appreciate it's really complex, but it is all to do with just function notation. Substitution, once you get it, it is just literally substitution and algebra manipulation and a bit of balance method. So if you can do that, fabulous.